Okay, we got kids, we got snacks, we got kombucha. Are we ready to go? Yep. Yay! So how many baby goats do you have right now?
12.
12. So how many mamas? How many have come? 5. Okay. Wow. So then quite a few twins
One had 4.
Oh, okay. Well then.
Yeah. One had 1.
I didn't know it was possible for them to have 4.
Different breeds do different. Some breeds, it's not uncommon to have 5, 4 or 5 all the time. I have one doe that just tends to have 4 and 5.
Yeah. What breed is it that...
This is Nubian.
Okay, Nubian. They tend to have a lot of babies at once.
Well, I'm not going to say that the breed does, but the one doe that I had, mom did. Her mom had 4 almost every year.
Yeah.
And Nigerian dwarf goats, they can definitely have larger litters, I guess you'd call them.
What's their favorite thing to eat?
Their mama's milk.
Oh. Well, at this point, I guess, yeah.
That's really most of what they've eaten. In the last 2 weeks, I've really been pushing hay, and they'll pretty much clear out the hay I give them every day now.
Oh. Is that an egg laying sound?
I don't think so.
Okay, what is the...
Usually if they're laying an egg, it's a little more intense.
Is it that same
Sometimes they
sound,
have very
but...
intense sounds and they're not laying eggs, so...
Okay, what I was going to say about Azure Standard was, so you don't order so much right now, you said.
You know, when it comes to, grain is probably my favorite thing to order through them.
For yourself or for animals?
No, for myself.
For yourself, yeah.
But we pretty much took care of that about 12 years ago or so, and just ordered what we would maybe need for the rest of our lives.
Oh. Do you have a silo or?
Nope. It comes in either 5-gallon buckets or 50-pound bags.
Yeah.
And so the nutritional value of grain doesn't diminish as long as it's in the full kernel.
Because it has the phytic acid layer and it has different
so
anti-nutrients.
You can order, and I'm so glad we did. I mean, it's really my husband that's drawn to, hey, like if something were to happen, let's make sure we can take care of ourselves. I have 2 little ducks down at the pond, and they would love to be fed. Do you want to look at the big goats first?
Sure, whatever works. Look at Caspian, look at all the bales of hay.
What?
That's a lot. They need to have a lot so that the animals can eat as much as they need to, huh? And they got to keep it underneath a little roof so that it stays dry. Yeah. Otherwise it'll get moldy and then they can't really eat it.
That's right. So these 3 that are smaller are going to be bred and milked next year. And then the 3 in there are the ones I'm milking. That one is kind of limping. And then I sold 2 of my milk goats. So
something I've heard about goat milk is that it'll taste really goaty if it's not stored at the right temperature. Not that it's gone bad, but that it just needs to be really, really chilled.
So the best way to handle it is to strain it properly, which means a milk filter, which is kind of like a coffee filter, but it's made just for milk. And then get it chilled as fast as you can. There can be a lot of discussion about why does my milk taste bad, and it might even be more a matter of a mineral deficiency.
I was going to say, I wonder if it's either breed specific or it's what you're feeding the goat.
I can only speak from what I've heard other people say. My goat's milk, I don't think I've ever had it switch taste.
She's saying hi to the dog.
I think it always has tasted the same, no matter what they're eating. Now, they get a steady diet of hay. A lot of people who have a lot of fenced land for grazing, the goats will be out and on fresh browse every day. That I've heard can alter the flavor. But goats need copper, and so I was just told this week that a copper deficiency will cause the milk to taste bad.
Like taste more like I guess gamey. I don't know how else to describe it. Tastes like what they eat, like hay. Well, okay, but then the weird thing is, milk from the store is pasteurized, and then the only goat milk I've ever had has not been pasteurized. So I wonder if that has something to do with it as well, where we're just used to the more mild.
If your goat milk from the store, I've heard, is always awful.
Really?
I've not tasted it.
I haven't. It's always been so expensive
It's
that I've
very
never,
expensive.
I've
Very
never bothered.
expensive. And even there's also discussion about how much should you sell your goat milk for, and some people are selling it for $25 a gallon. I've
a
always
lot.
sold it for $6.
Yeah.
And this year I told all of the people who buy that I'm going to do $8 this year. So I made that. It's cheap. It's actually really cheap.
It seems reasonable because you have to factor in the time. You know, how many goats does the person have? How long does the cost to feed? How long does it take to milk? How long, what conditions does the person live in to where they have to go out of their house every day to milk?
Yeah.
And what else do they have going on in life that they need to take care of, that they're taking time away to do that?
Yeah. And before you leave, you can try the goat milk if you'd like.
Sure. Yeah.
I have some in the fridge.
You want to try the goat milk before we leave?
This little one, that's all she gets right now. She was on formula, and the whole time she was on formula, her mom really didn't want her to be on formula. I wish we had just gone to one of those recipes and used our milk.
Have you heard of the Weston A. Price?
Yeah, and that's the recipe I'd want to use.
The homemade formula.
Yeah, that's really the one I'd want to use.
I haven't actually taken a close look at the recipe for homemade formula. Is it animal milk based or?
No, usually it's goat milk based.
Goat
Yeah.
milk.
There's different things that you would want to purchase that you wouldn't just have on hand.
Yeah, that's the hard part. People get scared of extra stuff like that. They're afraid of if they're told to buy something that's really good for them, but it's not something they're familiar with and they've never seen it in a store. Then I know I've been more timid about making things that take extra research and
Now my mom, if you've seen that old recipe, nursing wasn't common back then at all.
Yeah. I was surprised about that.
She used the canned milk and the Karo syrup. That's what she raised all 3 of her kids on.
Yeah. Okay. But people just didn't really know.
So she wants to take the cart. Do you want to take the cart? And you can sit right here if you want to. And do you want to take the cart? Okay.
He's like, don't mind if
but
I
you
do.
can sit here too. We can work this out if you want.
Ooh, what kind of tree is this pink one?
I think it's like an ornamental crabapple.
Oh, okay. I always think dogwood. I'm not sure why.
Those have really big, beautiful leaves. Do you see the ducks, Caspian?
Oh, look at that.
I was saying that a gal was renting over here from December through May, and she left 2 ducks.
Oh, she left me.
Yeah. She kind of got permission, but
that's a good place to leave them. Oh, what kind of tree is this?
It's a type of a willow.
Oh, I love the twisty branches.
Of willow. At least we keep the ducks want to eat. I don't know what's going on. You can throw it so it lands in the grass, kind of by the water. And if you throw it, Caspian, so it lands in the grass, then they'll be able to get it. If the
What's the sugar that's recommended for the homemade formula? Do you know? It's a tricky one to get a good quality sugar for babies. And you know what I didn't used to know was that sweeteners have a different glycemic index. So, I mean, they absorb differently in the body. People always say sugar is sugar. But it turns out some metabolize at a slower rate, at a healthier rate.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always get frustrated when I hear sugar is sugar, even when it comes to fruit. Because I know that fruit is healthy for you.
Right, and it comes with all the added fiber that turns out to slow down the metabolization of sugar too. So
there's this element of discouraging people from eating fruit because of the sugar, and
The only time I've ever worried about that is when I was doing gaps for a couple months.
Okay.
And you had to not eat like any fruit for the first 5 stages or so.
Like fresh ground whole wheat, or do you do that?
I do buy it from Azure,
You
but
buy the
I'm
flour.
actually no, I'm trying the wheat berries.
Okay.
But I made the mistake of buying 25 pounds of soft white wheat. It is terrible for baking. I don't know how people use it. It's supposed to be for pastries and stuff, but
It should be fine.
even when part of the problem is I don't have a mill to grind it properly, so it's a little bit coarse.
I see.
But we have a pretty good blender, so it gets it pretty well, but it's still really coarse, and it just never.
I'm just going for a little.
It gets much more clumpy than.
I would say it's probably the way you're milling it.
Okay.
then, because soft white is excellent for any baked
It's
goods
supposed to be,
that
yeah,
aren't
like pastries
yeast.
and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, and so I've used it for a biscuit recipe. I've used it for a couple cakes, and that's where it turned out the best. I don't know. But
I have a wheat grinder you could borrow for a little while.
sure, yeah, just so I can get some of it put in the freezer. That'd be good.
Well,
Yeah.
I started listening to a podcast from a gal who whole wheat has been her specialty for a lot of years, 30-some. I don't know how much longer than that. But she started doing a podcast just this year, and her name is Sue Becker, and the podcast is, you'd find it just through the name, but she would say that skin problems, digestive issues can all be solved just by using whole wheat. Now, it's not just whole wheat, it's fresh ground. So it's not even put in the freezer.
Oh, okay. So just for each
fresh.
recipe you do it.
Know how easy it is to find. Some grains are not. They say you have to wait till harvest. But
Yeah.
have you bought grain at Super One in their bulk section if you're just looking for a
I
little bit
think,
to
remember what it was.
Well, they would
while ago.
usually have the wheat berries, and if you only have soft and you were wanting to try a hard wheat, I'd start with white. That's just what I would
that was my
use.
next step, was to get hard white, because it was what I was interested most in was I like the texture. Well, I like the texture and the taste of hard red.
Okay.
But I mean, because that's kind of standard. That's
Yeah,
what you're gonna
yeah,
find the
it's
most
kind of the
available.
traditional-
Yeah, I like it, but it turns out really, really dark. So everything I was making, baked goods or not, was turning out really dark, and I wanted them to have some variation
Yeah.
to kind of mimic what's in the store that's super white.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, I need to find a type of wheat, I guess, that's naturally just lighter.
Let me get a glass of milk and I'll bring you.
Okay. Huh? You find a little tractor. Yeah. How you doing, girl? You like the swing? Yeah, you like the swing? Huh? You like being picked up, Ellie? Yeah. Ha. Yeah. Oh, it's such a nice day out here, isn't it?
And then nothing beyond this can be taken apart. But,
Okay.
like, it's just, it's sad, so it's dirty.
Okay.
This can even be rinsed out real
Okay.
good. And I would rinse it in cold water first, because warm water causes the gluten to react and can make it,
Okay.
any flour on it, turn gummy.
Okay.
But these pieces can be washed. When you grind, there's some flour that ends up in here, and it's super, super fine. I
Is
just
it-
always dump it into my flour.
Uh-huh.
But I would just wash this. And then when you go to use it, it just sits right back in here, and you want to make sure it's clicked into place.
Uh-huh. I've heard people have trouble with that,
Yeah,
that
if you
part, and then it
don't-
gets everywhere.
It'll get everywhere. So that's all.
Okay.
And I always grind it on the finest I can. However, I need sometimes it takes forever for it to grind.
Okay.
So in my impatience,
Oh, okay.
I'll put it up.
Hey, I don't know if that's a toy though.
It's fine, but
Okay.
it is.
Okay, that's what I figured. It looked like it.
But I have a better shovel for you. I have an actual shovel. This one isn't very heavy duty, but I have a really nice to warm up the baby milk, and then they could.
Oh, okay.
Probably before you leave, I would just probably do it right.
Yeah.
As you're ready to leave. I usually feed them around 1.
Oh, okay.
1:30.
Okay, so we've had a really good time. We've seen the baby goats. We've seen the chickens. We've seen older goats. Went on a little ride and she took us through the woods a little bit. And you've played in this really fabulous little tree house.
This one is heavy duty.
That one's heavy duty too. Oh, and she said she's gonna go heat up the milk for the baby goats to feed them pretty soon. And then I think after that we're gonna go home and have some lunch ourselves. Yeah? Yeah? Okay. How about you? Have you had a good time? Yeah? Are you having a good time? Yeah? You big 9-month-old girl. Yeah? Are you 9 months old today? Happy 9 months to you. Happy 9 months to you. Happy 9 months, dear Iris. Happy 9 months to you. Almost forgot. Caspian's gonna ride the tractor. Okay, let me see you on this tractor. That's the shifter.
Well, I don't know what's this. Probably that's.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe it is. Look at this little sticker says, "Stand clear. Stand clear, Caspian's at the wheel." Let's go watch the baby goats have their lunch.
That wasn't too bad.
Wow, everybody's so hungry.
Okay. It's okay. Make sure they don't hit our nipple. Okay.
So I'd say that was a really successful trip. We had a lot of fun, and we talked to Elaine about baby goats, about her chickens, about her big goats, the ducks at the pond. We talked a lot about grinding wheat and what kind of mills are best for that. And we just talked about a lot of health-related stuff, which is fun for some people. Fun for people like us, I guess. So it was a great time. Caspian had fun on the little play equipment outside. And Iris had fun in the swing for a little while, especially since there was another kid there. So happy that she let us borrow her grain mill for about a month, and we get to go take it back and visit her again, and so that'll be great. Thanks for coming along with us. I wish everybody could be there with me in person because it was so beautiful. It's amazing just how green it gets around here after winter. Join us on our next adventure.